Welcome to Hotline TV. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. We're taking a final look at the Electoral College today. But first, the Diageo Hotline tracking poll, showing Barack Obama with 50%, John McCain at 45%. A 5-point difference, Amy, a 5-point difference.
And our last tracking poll.
It is, in fact.
Of 2008. Although we said we're going to start the 2012 tracking. I think we'll go, maybe right after Thanksgiving.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Wait for the race to really congeal, etc.
Correct. All right, but I guess we still have to pay attention to 2008. And in 24 hours, actually less than 24 hours, those polls are going to be open. So here's our last look at where the battle for the Electoral College stands. Joining us from the campus of the Electoral College with some Election Day predictions and an overview is our favorite stat boy, Matt Gottlieb.
Yay!
Amy, John, thank you. We've been following our 19 Hotline Battleground states for the past few years, and right now we are able to make a prediction about where the Electoral College will stand 24 hours from now, or maybe more than that, depending on what time you're watching this. I have my scorecard.
Yeah.
I have the 227 solid electoral votes. Those are the states that both John Kerry and Al Gore won, minus Pennsylvania, which has been a battleground. We've seen some tightening there over the past few weeks. But my Electoral College total for Barack Obama, I give him 326. And that's the 252 John Kerry won, plus New Mexico, Nevada, Colorado, Iowa, Ohio, North Carolina, and Virginia. And I know John and Amy, I know you've made some predictions there back at Hotline headquarters. Where do you see the Electoral College?
All right, send
That's
it right
very
back to
good.
us. And I feel a little bit like I'm cheating off of the smartest guy in class over there at Electoral College. But I actually have the exact same number as Statboy himself, as he said, 326, which includes Iowa, New Mexico, Ohio, Nevada, Colorado, and Virginia, and all of those Kerry states from 2004.
Interesting.
So I'm just going to pass it over to you because we actually have the same
We
numbers,
actually-
which is not that interesting.
No, well, it is interesting.
Well,
It is.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to go a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit crazy here.
A little more bullish on
I'm
Barack.
a little more bullish on Barack. That is, I am giving Barack Obama 353 Electoral College votes. The big difference, I think, is that I'm suggesting that Barack Obama wins Florida.
Interesting.
Which I don't think either Matt or John think is possible.
I do not
and I
predict
do
that.
also think he could win Indiana, but I'm holding off. I'm going to give that to John McCain. Right now, it means that John McCain only winning. What do we have now? 100 and basically 82 Electoral College votes, getting just the reddest of the red. And in some of those, it'll be a lot tighter than we expect.
A lot tighter than we expected. All right, we are almost out of time for today, but before we leave, let's go to a quickie, our last quickie, unfortunately, but a quickie indeed, with Quinn.
Well, we got our final batch of Senate polls today, and some of these numbers are making me think anew about some of these races. I have to say there's one race I'm going to be looking at on election night. It's the Minnesota Senate race. That seems to me the truest toss-up. There was one poll that showed Franken up 4, another poll showed Coleman up 3. That is the most dead-even race, I think, going into Election Day on the Senate side. One race that seems to sort of be leaving the toss-up column is Mississippi, where a new poll shows Roger Wicker up by 7 points. And we'll see if that's the case. But interestingly enough, in Mississippi, Republicans seem to think that Wicker can survive even if the black vote ends up being 35% of the vote in Mississippi. That may be true. Now, in Georgia, Wicker's neighbor to the east, if Saxby-Chambliss, if the vote there in Georgia is 35% African American, which is where it is currently in the early vote, that would probably spell big problems for Saxby-Chambliss. He needs Republicans to come to the polls on Election Day and sort of even that out. And that seems to be still a dead even race, although some polls show Chambliss coming ahead, some is more tied. And with all these polls, we'll have sort of better views on which pollster was right, which one was wrong. And the final race that I think we'll be looking at sort of after Election Day is North Carolina, where if Liddy Dole manages to squeak it out, we'll be saying these final ads about godless Kay Hagan, her associations. Those were a stroke of genius. But if she wins, and certainly if Dole loses by a big margin, we'll be saying this was just sort of sunk her chances and made her sort of go out in a as good as way she would have wanted to. So that's all I have for today. Looking forward to tomorrow. Back to you.
Well, that's all for today at Hotline TV. I'm Amy Walter.
And I'm John Mercurio. See you guys on Election Day. Don't forget to vote.